Shut up and sit down.
Greetings, fellow Earth travelers. Oblyx here, coming at you today from Project Ozone Lite. How y'all doing today? So, we are up here in the sky, well above render distance. You see, if I pull the camera down, we disappear. Well above the height of the world, looking down upon our awesome base. You can see our storage system back up there over my head. You can see the Mystical Agriculture Farms there. You can see our Botania Dome there. You can see our mob farm over my head there. And our processing red dome right there. Pretty cool stuff. So our power tower's right there behind my head. And that's a future power tower. So what I want to do in this episode, this is our 40th episode. Can you believe that? We've been on this server for 40 episodes. That's a huge number to me. But I kind of want to take a little walk around the base and show you the work I've been doing off camera, because I've done a lot of work off camera this go around between the last episode and this episode, but give the new folks an opportunity to see what's what. And you old timers, give you a chance to remember what all we've done. Because we've done so much in 40 episodes, a lot of it kind of gets forgotten. Heck, I walk around and go, oh yeah, I remember doing that. You know, stuff I forgot we did. So this is the outside of our base, and it's based on 4 massive domes, and these suckers are huge, and they have a top and a bottom. The bottom is much shallower than the top, and each one will serve its own purpose. The purple dome over here is for storage and our crafting system. The green dome is for Botania. The red dome is for automation and machinery. And the blue dome is for an as for yet unseen project. And of course each of our towers has purpose as well. And we'll go through those as we get into the towers. So we are playing on Hermit Skies. Originally there was an island here in the middle, right around in here, that I've since torn out. We've started on that island and built platforms like everyone else does when they start Project Ozone Lite and they're playing on Hermit Skies. But we wanted to do something a little different. We created this giant torus, or donut, that goes all the way around. And then we started building on the domes, and then we put the towers in. So that is our base in a nutshell. That's our nether portal. We actually don't need this anymore. I now have a better way to get to the nether, and I never use this anymore, so we could get rid of it. I did keep the original portal. Now this does take us back to our starship at World Spawn. So there you go. We are the blue starship at World Spawn, and you can see the Hermit Skies World Spawn here. And our friend Mirrusky is right over there in the green ship, right there. So let's get on back to our little neck of the woods, where Vasky and Aiden Brady are honored. For those that don't know, Vasky is the creator of Botania and Quark and some other mods, and Aiden Brady is the creator of Mechanism. 2 of my favorite mods. Now, since the last episode, I have added these guys. These are new. These are my Mirrusky safety devices. If you guys watched her video where she came over on Valentine's and put a big heart in our base, you can actually see it back there in the red dome. You see the remnants of it there. She spawned in right here, and her flight didn't work because she didn't have, she's using an angel ring. We use a jetpack, but she uses an angel ring, and she didn't have her water mills chunk loaded. So when she got here, she couldn't fly, and she had to bridge across the void to get into our Taurus there so she could do her little Valentine's Day prank. And it was a pretty hilarious episode. I encourage you to watch it. Very, very funny. So I added this little Mirrusky safety device, so that all she has to do is step on that pressure plate right there, and it should be instantly teleported over to that black block right there, which is identical to this one. And then there's one on that side to bring you right back over here. So if I just step on it, whoosh, we're over at the other side instantly. Step on it again, whoosh, we're back. So there you go, Mirrusky, just for you. So we just generally fly with our jetpack because, you know, why not? But so here we are inside the Taurus, and we have decorated the Taurus up. We're not 100% done with this yet, but I kind of wanted to go with a little bit of a spaceship theme, but kind of a, you know, Zocalo, you might find any manner of things inside here. So this is kind of like a little campsite, you know, with big bushes and a fallen over tree, you know, a little tent, a little cooking pot and whatnot. You come around over here. Now this is one of our towers, and we have not made use of this tower yet, but man, I love these things. I love that red, yellow, and orange glass down there. That looks so cool. It looks like a boiling flame of fire. And then of course we got the cyan and gray up there. Looks very cool too. And these are three-dimensional platforms, so there is, you can see, a secondary pathway underneath. Now we don't use this for walking, but we do use it for machines. So there are machines under, you know, that we can put under there, and cabling and such, so it won't be visible, you know, as you walk through and see the skylights. So as we come around over here, we got a little crystal structure, and this is our little house. A very little house, but it is fully functional. We got a bed. This is our actual spawn point for the game. Little storage chest, crafting table, furnace, you know, little window. Hello. Yeah, very basic, tiny little Minecraft structure, but it works. And here it is inside of our pseudo space station-y kind of thing. There's an entrance down into the lower level. Now this is kind of just an overgrown gazebo thing. Now here's our blue dome. We actually haven't made use of this yet. There's a future project we're going to put in here, but that's a surprise for down the road. We've got a little nice river with a little waterfall, some bushies, or bushes as Corrales might say. Then we come around, and this is another tower. This tower is obviously our mob farm. So as you can see, I get over here in this area, and mobs start pouring in. Of course, more show up at night than do in the day. But we do get quite a few in the day, and they fall all the way down here. You guys are so loud. So we're going to come down here to the bottom and kind of show what's what. Every now and then, especially these wither skeletons, and I'm going to turn our hostile creature sounds off because they're going to get very loud in here. It only seems to happen with the wither skeletons, but they tend to glitch through the glass. They're not actually spawning down here. They're just glitching through the glass. And as you can see, you got one has picked up a skeleton head, and one has picked up a zombie head, and they've both picked up, you know, dropped their stone swords and replaced it with bows. So that's kind of funny. Of course, they'll despawn. Well, actually, these guys won't. I need to whack these guys because, yeah, with them picking up items, they won't actually despawn. So let's murderify them, and now they're gone forever. Get this garbage out of our inventory. There we go. And I'll just put these in here. And I should probably turn my magnet off, and I'll stop picking stuff up. There we go. So what happens is they fall all the way from up there, and then this is regular water, and that should just help slow their fall down. You know, you will still get a few that die here, but most, you know, many of them will live, like you see these guys living. And then this is witch water, and this actually, you just saw that creeper turned into a charged creeper. Skeletons become wither skeletons. Spiders become poison or cave spiders. You know, just different things. So different mobs will become different things. It allows us to get additional drops, and they're being blown over by that fan, being ground up by the grinders, and then we're shipping all of our products back to our storage room to be sorted. So pretty efficient. This is a completely power-free mob farm. I'm not generating these mobs through any means of power. I'm simply just being in range. There's multiple platforms up here. You can kind of see each one, and they're all dark, and mobs just naturally spawn in the area. So if anytime I'm over in the red dome or the blue dome, mobs will spawn and plunge to their death, and we'll get their goodies. So it's not anything I have to turn on or off or worry about. If I don't want mobs to spawn, I just leave the area and mobs won't spawn. Simple as that. So it works out really well. We get all manner of mobs that can spawn. We are in a desert, so you'll notice this grass is mighty green for a desert, but the leaves are not very green. This is vivid grass from Botania. It also prevents passive mobs from spawning, which is a great benefit, because being in a skyblock world, there'd be all manner of cows and fluid cows and pigs and chickens and everything growing in here, and it'd be obnoxious. So we got a little river and a bridge, no waterfall in this one. Got a nice little fountain. I think this is one of the first things I built in the Taurus here. I actually really like this fountain, and this is one of our best domes to date. So we come in here. This is our red dome. We can see the remnants of Mirrusky's heart. Now I will show you guys. She did drop off since then some Valentine's cows. I didn't even know these were a thing. And she grabbed a couple for me because she got some spawning, and that's pretty darn cool. So you get the hearts, and pink cow. They give milk just like a regular cow, but yeah, they're just constantly producing hearts, and they're pink cows. So that's hilarious. So thanks a lot, Mirrusky, for that. I'm glad to add them to the collection. This was full of red concrete, and I broke out the red concrete to get something. There was a chest in the middle to get the little chest out of the middle, but then I was like, you know what, the glass looks kind of cool like that, because this is all special glass, Chinese glass. So I just kind of kept it. We do have a portal to the mining dimension here. We have a portal to the deep dark, and we have a portal to the end, all here. This is where our mystical agriculture is being processed. So we get the essence from our mystical agriculture farm. It's in one of the towers. It's in that tower way over there, at the very top of it. Those essences come over here, and then they're processed in these crafters and turned into the actual item. Like that's redstone alloy and lapis, and we have nether stars down here, and all manner of things, gas tiers and diamonds and whatnot. Anything we can't produce by fluid cows. I have a ton of fluid cows. We'll see those in a little bit. But anything that can't be done by fluid cows, we do in these guys here. I've added a few since I think the last time we looked at these guys. I added basalt because I really like that block a lot. I added dark steel because I didn't have those. I added draconium, and I added soul sand because we weren't getting any of that either. So those are all additional processing we're doing. And here's our setup. It's really easy. I have a whole video on how I set this up, and it works like a dream. Everything comes in through that dimensional transceiver from the farm, gets processed, and then sent back out through that dimensional transceiver to our storage room. So easy peasy lemon squeezy. Now this guy, there's a whole setup for this bad boy, and I have 2 episodes on this setup here. This is our ore quintupler. Yeah, quintupler. That means 5 times. So you put ore in here, iron or copper, lead or silver, whatever, and it processes through all these machines, and then here you get 5 ingots for every 1 ore that you put in there. So you put 1 ore in, you get 5 ingots out down here. Now there's a little more to it than just these few machines. It's not an easy setup, which is why it took 2 episodes. This whole spaghetti soup down here is all part of that machine. So you need all these machines to make all these other things, all these other chemicals in order to run those machines up top. So that's what we got going on down here. Now this is new. You guys haven't seen this. This is new since the last episode, but it's kind of an old setup. This was our mob farm processing system and loopback processing system we had way back when the game first started, and we built the mob farm way down there at build limit, way at the bottom of the world. And we built a mob farm platform way down, and I set up a system very, very similar to this, where it collected mob drops, sent the loot bags over to a loot bag processor. They processed it, and then we stored those loot bag goodies in drawers. Well, this is like version 2.0 of that. So all those mob farm drops that we just saw out of that mob farm dropping them come into here. They come into this ender chest. They're being pushed into the storage drawers. Okay, anything that is useful immediately, meaning anything that's not a loot bag, is instantly sent then up into this dimensional transceiver and over to our storage system. So all of this stuff here is just kind of a placeholder. What this does, because all these drawers are locked, is says anything that's not listed in these drawers gets instantly sent to the trash. So all the bows, all the armor, all the swords, all the garbage we don't want goes over here into the trash. We don't even have to deal with it. Then what I've got, so I've got all these loot bags. It'll collect the loot bags from the mobs. It shoots those through this pipe because we have a filter set up for our loot bags. Shoots them down this pipe into this controller and stores them in these drawers. Then I've got another pipe coming out of this controller that also has, which just collects everything. So you just saw a loot bag shoot down there, given that only loot bags are in here, and it goes into this bag opener. So it'll get a bag, it'll open it, take the goodies out, and send the goodies out through this pipe here, which you notice connects to both that controller and the trash can, just like this ender chest does. Now this guy is set, this is the important part, nearest first, and actually all of them are set. It's also important that these be set to nearest first. Notice I have 3, so they pull out quick enough, because our mob farm produces pretty darn fast, but they're all set to nearest first. Well, that's the nearest connection, so it's going to try there first. If it can't do there, then it does the trash, and that's why the trash is so far away, to make sure it's the last place. So this guy's nearest first as well, so it's going to try to shove the items that it got from the loot bag. It can't go this way, so it's going to go up and into our controller. If these locked drawers have an item, allow that particular item to come in here. If it doesn't, everything else just goes in the trash. So all the armor and the books and things I don't need to keep go over here in the trash. And again, all of this stuff that it collects out of the loot bags are being sent up into this dimensional transceiver as well and piped back over to our storage system. So it's working out pretty darn well for me. I've used it for the last several days, set it up a few days ago, and just let it run. I'll leave my guy logged in and go to work and come back 9 hours later, and a server's still up and running, no problem, no overages, works like a dream. So this is our setup for producing demon ingots. So you throw gold in there and you get demon ingots out. This is a future project we'll work on in a little while. And let's pop back up here to the top. Here's all our machines. So we get a little smeltery set up over there. We needed it for something. I had to set it up real quick. We had a much bigger one on the center platform a long time ago when we made these picks, the pick and the axe and the shovel. But we really don't use it too much anymore. So these are all basic machines. I don't have any automation on these yet. That is coming very, very soon. This Oblyx, you can see, has 978 levels. When mobs, you can see them falling in the tower over here. If I come over here to this glass, you see the mobs falling through the windows there. When they die, the experience is collected and sent through a dimensional transceiver in the mob farm to this obelisk right here. So this is all our mob death experience being collected so we can use it. We have an obsidian farm here and a lava farm. So, we're turning cobble into lava with superheating blocks down there. So we got a ton of lava. Then we're piping the lava into these stone barrels with some water on top, turning them into obsidian, so we get both obsidian and lava out of this farm. I've got a cobble farm here where we're producing just boatloads of cobble and then turning it all the way. It's running through all these different drawers all the way up into octuple compressed cobblestone. So right now I've got 24 octuple compressed. This takes a really long time. I mean, you can see the rate at which I'm pumping cobble into the system, and it still only has 24. And we've been running this since almost the beginning of the server, so for a very long time. So probably 34 episodes, 33 episodes, something like that. We've been letting this run. So yeah, it takes a really long time. But we'll be using that later down the road. So kind of got an overgrown tree, a little rock formation. Nice. Now this tower here is our power tower. It's the first of two that we're going to have. The second one has not been built yet, so empty one I showed you before. And this is our extreme reactor. So we've got a fairly large extreme reactor. It's a simple one. I will be expanding upon it and doing some other cool things with it pretty soon, because we're just about at the power capacity of this thing. You'll see it will start dropping fairly quickly when I start turning things on. Here it goes, and when other things start kicking in, it'll drop a lot lower. And I want to do some wireless connections and things which will just eat this power up to nothing. So we're definitely going to have to be expanding this. It's getting its yellorium from this ender chest here, which is coming from our cow farm. We'll take a look at that in a little bit. And it's piping out its exhaust, the cyanite in here, which is just going into our storage system. So that's sending it back over to our storage system. Now, something you haven't seen, a new addition since the last time, is this guy. I've built a boatload of vibrant capacitors. So this guy holds 31.2 billion RF. And I'm not going to connect it yet. There's more I want to do to this before I actually connect it. And in fact, I think I'm going to be replacing it with something much bigger. I just wanted something temporary and small because I was starting to have power issues, but I want to make sure I had a little backup battery, so I had that craft up real quick. Now as we go around, I haven't done decorations in here yet. I still need to work on that. Now this is our green dome. This is Britannia, and you'll see some changes in here as well for you old timers. We have not put in an Enderman blocker yet, so we still get tons of Enderman spawn in here, and I do make sure I have my Magda off. I do. I've added a sheep farm. That's new. So I'll walk you through that because I haven't shown this on camera yet. The reason I added it is because I've had to make, I should say, a ton of these cables. These dense cables from Applied Energistics. Well, I've had to make a bunch of the smart cables too, and they both require the same thing. These covered Fluix cables. So you take the regular Fluix cable, cover it in wool. It's required in the recipe, but I needed a ton of wool, and I got tired of going to the mining dimension to collect wool. Now you just saw it work. What happens is our mana production over here, which I've shown in video. I didn't show this exact setup building it, but I have showed it when it was over on the platform. And when I moved, destroyed the platform and moved everything over here, I basically rebuilt a very similar setup over here. So if you watch that video, you'll be up to date on how to build one of these things. But I've got the mana shooting over to this pool and then shooting over to this pool because they're limited how far they can go. And then I've got what's called a pulse mana spreader. Now, if you remember from our farm that was producing Britannia flowers for us, and we were getting automatically crafting the petals and the dyes from that farm, we used this guy, this pulse mana spreader, to hit a drum. Well, we're doing the same thing here for the sheep farm, except for we're hitting a different drum. It's the drum of gathering, and you just saw it. When it pulses and hits that drum, it shears the sheep. Simple as that. So this is a timer. It's timing at 1 minute. So every 1 minute it fires a mana pulse at that drum, shears the sheep. The item collector collects it, puts it in there, sends it through the dimensional transceiver back to our storage system. And as you can see, we got 14,000 wool. And there's one dark gray sheep in there, so we're getting dark gray wool as well. Because for whatever reason, one of them spawned in there. I did not birth it. It spawned itself. But yeah, it's working like a dream. If you need wool, you want to do an ME system, and you need to build smart cables, this is a great way to make that happen. And it actually should fire any second, and you'll see that sheep right there will get sheared. And there's our pulse, and there's the sheep got sheared. So works like a treat. So now we come around this side and still need some decoration. Now I've made some changes here. This is our mystical agriculture farm, and as you can see, I've added just a few of the growth accelerators. Now these guys are underneath the nether star plants because they were just producing really slow. So the growth accelerators speed up the growth. And yeah, I've added an entire stack under each one of them. An entire stack of growth accelerators, and they do stack. So you want, the more you add, the more faster they grow. So we've added some additional crops. I added a bunch of inferium plants. All these are inferium. I did add, there's the draconium, which I just broke for whatever stupid reason. I don't know. I have no idea why I felt the need to punch that. I'll have to fix that later. There's our nether seeds, so we're getting our soul sand out of that. And I've added 3 more nether star seeds. I can't add any more because I need there's a special thing you need that you only get from killing withers, and it only drops at a 30% rate. This thing, a withering soul, or 35% drop chance. I actually fought the wither. I went and fought it an additional like 20 times and got 1 of these withering souls, which is enough to make the 4th plant, because you have to have the crux underneath them in order to grow them. I have a whole episode on planting these if you need help on how to do that. I've also added in all the additional lily pads of fertility that we didn't have, so they're there now too. Yeah, that's our mystical agriculture farm. The Ender IO harvester is harvesting it, shooting it up into the chest. The chest acts as a buffer. The item collector collects things that when the Ender IO farmer runs across it, its inventory typically gets full, and when that happens, it just kind of dumps the item on the ground. The item collector takes care of those additional items and dumps them in the chest as well. The chest then pumps things out to the dimensional transceiver, shoots it over to our storage system. So works well. Now we come across, and kind of here's our little nether section. So we got a bunch of nethery items. I think it looks kind of cool. I like this firewood in here. That looks pretty neat. If you watch it, it actually, it changes. That's pretty nifty. And we're back here to our gazebo. Now this is our purple dome, my favorite dome. I love the purple. And there's been a lot of changes in here since we were last in here. That's all new. So I've set up our crafting system. We kind of had a janky little setup here in the middle of the floor. So I moved it all over here, and I finished our controller. Yeah, I think that looks pretty darn cool, and I like the glass. It's all a glass surface, and everything's below the floor. I've got a bunch of crafters set up. So there's a crafter, there's a crafter, there's a crafter. 3 more. 3 more, 3 more, so that's 9, or 3, 6, 9, 12 already, plus Big Bertha here. This is a massive crafter that can craft dang near anything we need it to craft. And each one of these is progressively bigger, so smallest, small, medium, large, and jumbo super size crafters. And then I have these, which are dense energy cells, and each one of these holds a stupid amount of power for this system. And we'll pop down under here and take a look at it. So each one of these guys, if you look in the top right corner up there, holds 3.2 million RF. And you can see I've got 3, 6, 9, 12. You can see I've got tons. So lots and lots and lots of power. So if I cut power to this system, if I decide to come over here and remove that, we are now physically not connecting power to our AE system. It's still up and running. It's still up and running just fine. We can actually find the one that it's pulling out of if we kind of fly around. Usually it's one of these tail ones. And you'll see it'll start turning blue. I haven't started pulling yet. Yeah. Wait long enough and it'll show up. There's still a lot of power in the system for it to draw from. But then I've got this guy, which is a Mechanism Ultimate Energy Cube, which holds 51.2 million RF, which is an additional buffer and has this cool spinning cube inside. So that's an additional buffer for us of large amounts of power in the event that our reactor goes offline or something like that. But for you old timers that remember, we built a bunch of ZPEs in the mining dimension and set them up to send power back to these exciters. Well, I've got them sending power back to this exciter right now, and as you see, this guy still has 51.2 power. He's not lost any. Reason being, the ZPE produces enough power to run our entire AE system by itself. Then there's no fuel required to run the ZPEs. They just sit there and work forever. So even not connected to our Extreme reactor, we still have enough power to run our AE system, and I can still access my wireless terminal anywhere in the world. So power switch is pretty darn good at the moment when I build things properly and don't turn our cables the wrong direction. So there's that. Now I did set up our auto crafters for the inscribers. So we're making all of our processors. And I talked about the processors and the crafters and all that in our AE2 episodes. So I've got one for every single processor, and then I've got one to combine them for every single processor. So like this guy, is taking the printed engineering circuit and turning it into the engineering processor, and that's all he does. That's this whole guy's purpose in life. So each of the three has its own individual inscriber, so it produces processors very, very quickly. And then, of course, sucks them all back into our system through this pipe here. And then back here, I've got our wireless setup that allows this little guy to work anywhere in the world. And you remember this, the growth chamber, which makes all of our pure crystals, and I've got it now set up to do pure Certus quartz, pure Fluix crystals, and pure nether quartz crystals, so it does all three. And here's our other wireless. We'll talk about that in a later episode. We saw its sister over in one of the other domes. And then here's all our hard drives. So I've got all these set up. I've added some additional ones. We just had one drawer at one point. Well, we had one drawer on one system and one drawer on another system, I believe, in our last episode. So I've added a third drawer and filled it up as well. We're actually only using, these for the most part, not even all of them, because we have all those storage drawers up there, and all those storage drawers are connected to our AE system. So if we go up here and look at our storage drawers, every one of these, as well as every one of these, is connected to our AE system. Yep. And I have moved just about everything. This was our old storage system. We had a whole bunch of these extended warehouses from Ender.io, and I'm down to what, 5 items? Yeah, I think I can go ahead and pull those out, and we can close out that the Ender.io. I did kind of keep it here for nostalgia, so here's some of the warehouses. There's nothing in them. I did power them up so they get the yellow lights here. They don't normally do that. They would be gray if they didn't have power. But we're not using them. We could attach them to our AE system if we want to. And then this actually is our original storage system, way back in the beginning. First thing after wooden chests. We built some of these modular storage systems, and I've saved those as well. And we are actually using those. Let me clean these guys out of my inventory here, just to get this junk out of here. I'm using a couple of these. Like, this is all of my enchanted books that we got from our mob farm. At one point I set up a system to extract enchanted books out of the loot bags and save them in the system. You can go back and check an earlier episode to see how to do that if you want to do that in your world. I also had it set up to pull these ancient capacitors out of the loot bags and save those in this storage system, and the biome crystals in this storage system. And we're not using these two right now, but I think it looks kind of cool when you walk in the purple dome here. You see our modern storage system, and then you see where we started, where we went to, and then where we finally ended up. And like I said, all of these are connected to our AE system. So whenever you look in our AE system and you see 479,000 bones, they're actually right there in that drawer right there. So there's all your bones. And I did do a lot of work, many hours of work, to make sure when we loaded up this system, everything was in the drawers and not on disks. I went through a lot of effort. I actually stood up 2 different AE systems to make sure everything went into a drawer and not into the disks. Because it's very easy to fill up a drawer and then everything kind of spills over into your drives. But yeah, as you can see, we've got tons and tons and tons of stuff. Pretty much anything you could want in the game. There's very little we can't make today. So we've started open our demlets and storing those out here, so we'll be able to do other worlds before long. Our Botania stuff is over here, so our runes and things of that nature. And all the extra garbage is kind of back here. Now, I've been talking a lot about, I'm pumping stuff into this dimensional transceiver and it's going back to our storage system. Well, here's where it's going, into this dimensional transceiver right here. So everything from, the mob farm, after all that's processed in the red dome, to our mystical agriculture, any of that stuff that's getting processed is coming in here and then being sent into our storage system through this dimensional transceiver here. And you can just see it just piping items in. Now, I did talk about the cyanite coming out of our extreme reactor going into that ender chest over there. Well, this is where it's coming. So it comes in here and then it gets sucked into our system as well. So as far as all these drawers, I have controllers. There's a controller for these 2 banks. Here's a controller for these 2 banks. So I have 6 controllers situated around this horseshoe. There's one for these 2 banks, and there's one for these 2 banks. That allow us to use, they all have storage buses on them that allow us to use these guys with our applied energistic system. And it is important to keep the drawer locked so items don't move around on you. And all of our metals and preciouses, and we have so much stuff, just an unbelievable amount of stuff. And then of course we have auto crafting. So I've expanded our auto crafting setup immensely. We have a huge amount of auto crafting now. There will be another tower over there, and there's plenty of room to pop another tower even still right there. And that's going to allow us to produce just tons of stuff automagically. And if I come in here and look at what I can already produce automagically, I mean, there's a huge amount already. But that we'll want to grow that by a long shot. Now, I do want to show you one thing we didn't talk a whole lot about, only very little. We talked about channels on AE2, and they're extremely important. I want to kind of cover them real quick just to make sure you guys understand. Any newcomers, you old comers, you can kind of tune out for a minute. Every time you connect to a controller, every face of the controller, so that's a face, that's a face, that's a face, and the top is a face. Every single face gives you either 8 or 32 channels, depending on what you connect to it. If you connect a Fluix cable like this guy here, which is kind of your entry-level cable, or a smart cable like this one right here, you get 8 channels. If you plug in a dense cable like this guy here, big fat cable, you get 32 channels. Now, you say, Oblyx, the Fluix cable and the smart cable both have 8 channels. You say that's entry, so it's probably cheaper. Why would you use the smart cable? Well, if I mouse over this Fluix cable, it doesn't tell me how many channels are used. If I mouse over the smart cable, if you look in the top right corner, it says 2 of 8 channels used. That tells me how many I'm using. And all that is how many devices are actually connected to this line. So I've got a storage controller connected right there, and I've got a storage controller connected right there. Both of those are using storage bus, and each storage bus takes 1 channel. So that's 1 channel, that's 1 channel. That's my 2 of 8 channels. If I come over here and see I'm using 9 channels. Now the dense cable will also tell you how many it can use. So I'm using 9 of 32. If I come over here, I'm using 18 of 32, and you can track them down. So I'm actually using 20 of 32 right here. So if I come along, it's 20 of 32. If I come on the other side of this connector, it's all of a sudden 19 of 32. So 20 over here, 19 over here. That tells you you're using 1 channel up there, which is a storage controller or a drawer controller, and a storage bus. So there's my 1 channel. So I've got 19, 19, 19. All of a sudden, boom, 18. So there's another storage controller up there and another storage bus. So there's 1 more channel. And I come down and another connector. So beyond this connector, we're 18, 18, 18, 4. 18, 4. So that tells you a whole bunch of them are going down this way. So 7 of them are going down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's your 7. Every interface you plug into your system is going to use a channel. But you said I'm losing like 14 channels. Well, remember, these guys can hold 8. And if we follow it around, we can see every one of these import buses uses a channel. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 import channels. And we said the Fluix cable can carry 8 channels. So we're only using 7 of the 8. But they come in here and they're connecting in. So there's 7 channels right there being used. Plus these 7, that's 14. And then of course we have our 4 back here. So there's 1. There's 2. The security terminal is 2. The wireless is 3. And then this wireless is 4. So actually, no, it's not even connected right now. That wireless is not 4. This is the 4th one. Sorry about that. The import bus down here. That's our 4th one. Because it's connected back into this interface, it's using an additional channel from that interface. So that's why you see the 4 here, and you get 1, 2, 3, and 4 all pulled in. I did these a little bit differently so that we would pull the 8 or the 7 channels up top like that. Now you can see this is our line that runs our crafting setup up there. Remember, every interface takes a channel. So if we look at that guy, we can see I'm using 24 of 32. So there's 24 interfaces in that setup up there. So to give you an idea, that's these cables are great for being able to quickly tell, when you need to bring another line of cables down from your controller. I could not have, say, just connected this line right here that goes over to our crafters. I could not have just connected it into here and it work, because this is 24 of 32. This is 20 of 32. It's too many channels. It would not work. That's over 40 channels. And we can only do 32 down a line. So I have to bring 2 all the way back to the controller. So that's kind of a quick discussion about AE2 channels, and only because I didn't have it before. Really didn't get into detail with it before because I didn't have the dense cable and I didn't have the smart cable to really show off the differences in channels. But we'll get more and more and more into it as we continue to grow the system and as we add more crafters. And very soon over in the Red Dome, we're going to be setting up auto crafting for machines. Lots of auto crafting for machines. So, you know, a lot of the things we need to make for this, that, and the other thing need to be processed through some form of a machine. So if I need, for example, some things I've been making a lot of is Certus quartz crystal powder and Fluix crystal powder. Well, as it is now, I have to take a Fluix crystal out, fly over to the Red Dome, put it in a crusher, get the powder, and then put it in the AE2 system. I can teach the AE2 system how to use the crusher so I don't have to do that. And that we will be doing that very, very soon. So the last thing I want to do today, that's kind of been our tour. Oh, you know what? I totally didn't show you. My apologies. Our transport system. So we built this Inner IO transport system, and you don't see a lot of people use it. This thing is awesome. I love it. I have one in every single dome. So every dome has one of these guys. And I've staggered a few others around in different places. So if I want to go to the green dome, I simply hit the green dome and teleport. And now we're in the green dome. While we're here, let's do a Terror Shatter update. For those that don't know, that's the super pick from Botania that you have to fill up with mana to make it as useful as possible. And let's see where we're at. Oh, we are kissing the door of SS. Once this guy gets to SS, I will show you how it works and what it can do. It is a beast. But we got to get it to SS first. So back in the mana pool you go. And we'll let him continue charging up. You know, in the next couple of episodes, he should be ready to go. So I can use this teleport to get to any of our domes. If I want to go to blue, boom, I'm in blue. It is that fast and that easy. And you've seen how big our base is. You know, to fly around from point to point just takes so long, and you know your head bops around in all these different decorations and stuff. It becomes a bit annoying to fly around. So this has been a lifesaver, this transport system. You know, just a quick whoosh and you're over there. But one thing I haven't shown you, I do want to show you, is our cow farm. So we're going to click on cow farm and teleport, and this is going to take us to the Nether. You can teleport to any dimension from this system. And here we are. Now this is actually the middle of our cow farm. So before I turn around, I'm going to go up to the top and kind of give you the, you know, this is our Nether portal back on our platform I showed you. So when we come out of the Nether portal, this is what you'd see. And all of our fluid cows. And let me turn down the friendly creatures off for the moment because they're really loud. These are all of our fluid cows. I've got solids being processed on this side, liquids being processed on this side. And then I've got bonus cows back here. So a whole bunch of them. Just kind of sitting back here chilling. If we ever need them, they're there. So like Signalum produces an ingot. Yellorium produces an ingot. But Resonant Ender is a liquid. So we process them a little bit differently. Now this is the top floor. And remember, we're in the Nether. So I know it doesn't look like the Nether, but it is the Nether. So this middle floor is where we're doing all of our processing. Remember, solids are processed on this side, liquids are processed on that side, and we'll get into that in a minute. You come down here, and you've got a third floor, which is also full of cows. I had more cows than I had bays. I wanted more bays, and here we go. So again, solids on this side, liquids on this side. And all we're using is a mechanical user with a bucket in it to milk the cow, take the bucket up to the upper floor, and be processed. And yes, it is a bit laggy in here, especially when all these are processing. Tinker's construct is notoriously laggy. with these fluids. So yeah, when they're all running at the same time, it does get a little laggy. Hence why I stuck it in the nether, so it doesn't bother me, because I don't come to the nether very often. But, you know, if I need an ore, you know, if I'm running low on steel, boom, I've got 133,000 steel here just ready to go. I grab a stack, grab a bunch of stacks. Usually what I'll do is fill my inventory with steel and then just dump it all into my storage system here. Because again, my little wireless terminal works anywhere on any dimension, doesn't matter. So I'll just put hundreds of, you know, put thousands and thousands of steel in my system all at one time. And then here are all the liquids. So if I, you know, decide I need biofuel or liquid sunshine or lithium or brass or oil or resin or resonant or destabilized redstone, whatever, nutrient distillation, I just come over here, I take that drum off, I put an empty drum on and take it back to my base and move on. Super quick and easy. This thing has been a lifesaver. So many materials, and has allowed us to craft so many things without having to worry about mining and sieving and all that other nonsense. I do have a few automatically piped back to our world. So this is Yellorium. This is powering our extreme reactor. So it's just filling up this ender chest and sending it back to the overworld. And then coal. I've got that piping back as well. I'm actually not using this anymore. I used to use it for Britannia to create mana, but now I'm using blaze rods. They're more efficient. So, and I'll show you our blaze farm here in a minute. This is yet another experience obelisk. So we have an experience cow piping liquid experience up here into that obelisk. And this is Dew of the Void for our old Ender IO system. We had a portable tablet that worked much like our deal here, where we can access our inventory anywhere. Those Ender IO warehouses, we had a tablet that would work for them anywhere on any dimension as well, but it required Dew of the Void to work. So I always kept Dew of the Void piping back to the overworld for us. I could actually tear that down now, not a big deal. So we'll come over here. This is our blaze farm. This is a non-powered blaze farm. It is resturbed. So we used a drop of evil on a blaze farm that our blaze spawner we found out in the world. So it just sits here and spawns resturbed blazes and produces tons and tons of blaze rods, essence, hearts, and sulfur, as well as some XP. Yeah, 1209 XP. So I've got XP all over the place. And I'll come around the back here, kind of show you the guts of it. It's just using fans to blow the blazes back. There's no power requirements because it's a resturbed mob spawner. We are piping the blaze rods. That's our blaze rod storage. We're piping them out into this ender chest. This is what's running our Britannia system. So we're just dumping these blaze rods on some flowers that consume them to make power, our mana, in Britannia. And then this also has an overflow with using the nearest first, so it's pulling out of here. Nearest is that controller. If it can't go in there, it goes over here and dumps it in the trash. So there's overflow protection, which is awesome. I do have night vision goggles, which are awesome. They're in my baubles inventory over here, and I've got them bound to my number pad 4. We did craft those many episodes ago, and we've got a reliquary belt, charm belt, that prevents mobs from seeing us. So they don't see us, they don't attack us, they leave us alone, which is awesome. So I said I could tear that portal down. We don't really use it anymore, and they're obnoxiously loud. Pretty much just stick to using the teleporter because it's awesome. So the last thing I want to do today is I want to make some more ZPEs. because we're right at the cap of producing the amount of power that this guy needs to run regularly. He'll just barely charge that guy if he needs to, but it's you know, we're right on the edge, and as we add more and more and more things to the AE2 system, it's going to need more and more and more power. So I want to produce more ZPEs, but to make ZPEs, we need these guys, these gold carbon rods. Well, to make those, we need the iron rods. To make the iron rods, we need the lapis rods. To make the lapis rods, we need the redstone rods. To make the redstone rods, we need the carbon rods. To make the carbon rods, we need carbon ingots. To make carbon ingots, we have to put carbon in a compressor. To keep up with all that, that was a lot of words. So I want to make one of these compressors. It's super easy, nothing extravagant. Dark steel, which we're making in our mystical agriculture farm. Baby emeralds, that's just an emerald in a crafting grid and a machine frame. So we've made a ton of these machine frames for Ender IO. I think I have some. I was out of that glass, but I think I have some. I thought I had some bronze glass. Did I use it all? I might have used it all. Can I use this? Probably not. Yeah, I didn't think so. Dang it. Dang it, Bobby. Well, crappers. Alright, we're going to have to make some. And could I swear I had some. So we're going to need some metal and some obsidian dust. So let's run over to the red dome real quick. I'll be so happy when we don't have to run over to the red dome to do anything anymore. It's just auto crafts over here. So the way I do this is I just come grab some obsidian right here. I throw it in the sag mill because it processes a heck of a lot faster than the mechanism crusher. Or I'm sorry, mechanism crusher won't even process it. The pulverizer. Actually, I'll show you a difference. If I put, I'm going to get 5 out, and I'm going to give this guy a head start, and he's going to process 1 stack of obsidian. Now this guy's done. He's been running a little bit. I'm going to pop 4 stacks of obsidian in here. He will be done before he's done, by a long shot. I mean, you see he's just cranking through the obsidian. I mean, look at that. He's already most of the way done with 1 stack. He's done 4. Not even 4. Now he's done 4. Yeah, it's just crazy. He's so much faster. So now we need to get some ingots. We'll use, we can really use any kind, doesn't matter. I tend to like to grab copper. Where's my copper? Just because I like the way it looks. I need 1, 2, 3, 4 stacks of obsidian. Oh, I must already have some up here. We'll put some more up here. We'll put that in there, and it'll start producing the glass. So there's the glass we need. And we're going to get away from the machines so they'll shut up. We can use our little crafter here. Pop those in there. Let's see, get down to the machine we want to make. And bingo, bango, bongo. So that was the core. We still got to make the machine. Such a pain to dig through these guys. And there's our compressor. Fantastic. I have no idea if this thing takes power or what. Oh, those machines are so loud. Let's come over here. It does take RF. Wow, 16 million. Wow, that's a ton of RF. So we're going to pop that here. Look at that. He's done 4 stacks. He's not even a quarter of the way done with 1 stack. See the difference? It's ridiculous. The difference is just absolutely insane. I cannot believe that holds 16 million RF. That is just ridiculous. I'm glad I have decent power. So let's get some carbon and pop that in here, and it should compress that down for 2 ingots for us. Fantastic. And you get this kind of cool looking effect. Nice. You do get a weird visual glitch here though. Wonder if that is related to the thermal expansion machine. If it's because it's touching that machine. Nope. It's just naturally has that weird look to it. Huh. Weird. Okay, fair enough. But I'm going to work with this off camera and produce a whole bunch of these ingots and make a whole bunch more ZPEs because I want to expand our ZPE farm, which is right here. We use our RF tools miner and just mined out an entire chunk. This is an exact chunk. And ZPEs work better, or they give you more power closer down to bedrock. So we've got these sitting on bedrock. And what I want to do is basically fill out this entire chunk with ZPEs. And they're, using these mechanism ultimate universal cables to pipe the power into this entangler. The entangler is sending it back to that exciter that we have on our applied energistics system. So just want to expand the system out. I'll do it off camera because we've already spent an episode making ZPEs and exciters and all that kind of stuff. So you guys have seen that before. You don't want to go through it all over again. But I'll do it off camera, and in the next episode we're going to work on expanding our AE2 system, bringing it over here into the red dome, and starting some automation, starting to automate these machines so that they produce for us without us having to fly over here. So if I want carbon ingots, I just tell the machine I want carbon ingots. It throws carbon in the system and compresses it for us. So I don't even have to think about it. It just auto-magically happens. So we'll start that in the next episode. Get a little bit more going here. But I am afraid that is all the time I got for this somewhat update episode. I really appreciate you guys coming to hang out with me for all 40 of these episodes. You do not know how much I appreciate you, but I sure do. And until next time, get out there and make some noise. See ya.